I'm going to talk to you real quick about how to slab your clay. So I'm going to go over like some basics of this. So here's my lump of clay. Depending on what you're slabbing, you may need more or less clay. You don't want to slab, you don't want to do so much that it makes it hard to cut or hard to handle, and then you only need a little piece. And then on the other side of that, you don't want to do barely enough, and then you have like corners that don't quite work out, and then you end up having to just scrap the whole thing and re-slab another bigger lump of clay. So this lump of clay, this is a piece of cardstock. Let's say I'm doing a rectangular flower pot or something, and I want this to be my bottom, to be my base. This is how big I'm going to cut. This is the size slab that I need. So I'm going to roll this out to be this size, and I'm going to use this as a tracer. So the first thing, in the back of the room, I've got a few of these slabbing stations. It's like a coated canvas. Now you'll notice that there are cuts and scrapes and scratches from people not following my directions. We don't want to add holes. We don't want to cut holes in this. So do not cut at these slab stations back here in the back of the room. So the first thing I'm going to do, I've got a rolling pin, I've got my slats, and I've got my clay. I'm going to open up my clay. I'm going to check to make sure that it's still workable, still pliable, and it's good. I'm going to set my clay off to the side. I'm going to put my slats down like this, and I'm going to put them in a position so that my rolling pin rests on both of them. If I roll like this, if the edge of my rolling pin is off, that's no good. I'm not going to have an even slab. So I'm going to take some plastic wrap now. And I'm going to put that down. I'm going to put it this way. So I'm going to put that down right there, and I'm going to put it underneath my slats. I'm going to put my slats on top so that my slats hold that plastic in place. I'm going to kind of comb it flat. I'm going to double check to make sure that'll fit. And then I'm going to take that lump of clay, and this is actually probably going to be too much, so I'm going to get rid of some of that clay. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of flatten it by hand. So I've already wedged this. So I know there's no air bubbles in it. And I'm going to kind of flatten it. Now it's still, right now it's about the thickness of a hamburger patty. And you can see that it's way thicker still than my slat, which is okay. But what you don't want to do is, whoops. What you don't want to do is take a ball of clay like this and then try rolling it from being a ball. You want to kind of flatten it out first. And now what I'm going to do is just go back and forth. I'm not pressing a whole lot. I'm just kind of resting my hands. Now these don't spin, so the handle is rotating in my hand. So they're not, this is one solid piece, this rolling pin. So I'm going to roll it a little bit this way. And then I'm going to pick this up. And I'm going to roll it the other way. And now I want to be over the edge all the way around, which I am. And also, I want to make sure that I've rolled it enough so that my rolling pin is on my slat, so that my clay now is the same thickness. So now I'm kind of leaning on it just to make sure that my clay is the same thickness as my slats. So these slats keep the rolling pin from going all the way to the table. So no matter how hard I press at this point, that rolling pin is only going to, it's going to stop at those slats. If you don't roll with plastic, your clay will stick to the surface, and then you're going to have to peel it up, and it's going to totally come apart. So now I've got this very, very soft slab of clay. What I can do is I can do two things. I can put it off to the side, I can cover it up and let it dry a little bit and let it get leathery hard, or I can go ahead and cut it now. When I cut it, for you guys, I want you to take it back. Whoops. Take it back to your seat, cut it at your seat. So you might want to have a bunch of clay ready, slab all the pieces that you can slab, and then go back and cut them at your seat. But if you don't do that, if you just need one piece or whatever the case, that's not going to work anymore. No, that'll work. So when you go to cut this, first of all, do not cut it at the slabbing station, because people are probably going to be waiting to use the slabbing station. Make sure you put it on a cutting mat. I would suggest having a piece of plastic. You don't have to, though, if you want to. Yeah, it's going to be easier. Easier to handle. So now I'm going to put that down, and I'm going to take an X-Acto knife and very lightly cut these pieces off. So with this, if I still need more pieces to be slabbed, I'll just put that on that ball of clay that I haven't used yet, and I can re-wedge that and reuse it. Do the same thing with this. Actually, I'm going to make all these cuts first. Like that. And if I cut my saran wrap, it's not a big deal. I got plenty of it. And saran wrap is easier to replace than this stuff here. And there I have it. And if my plastic wrap isn't too damaged, so I've got some holes that I cut in it, but it's not too bad. I can use that. Cover that piece back up. And then I can put that somewhere. Actually, I want to keep that flat so it doesn't curl up. But that's how you slab. So I hope this gives you a little bit of a better understanding of what it is you're going to be doing. And if you have questions or if you're confused about something, I'll be walking around while you guys are building these things. So let me know.